right? It is a tool, not a state of being. We are not obligated to be socially connected. We're not obligated to use the internet. We are not obligated to follow each other or to get a follow back or any of that. You could think about it just like answering the phone or a video game. Play it or don't play it. But the problem is with that undue responsibility of connectedness, me using my social media to tell my story ends up being a situation where I fall into the comparison race. I see another artist that's posted every day and they seem more successful than me, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's putting out like 3 paintings every week, and I can't finish one in a month. So what am I supposed to post? You know, but it's not giving myself that freedom to say like, it's my page, and to hear that like in full agency, it actually is my story. It takes a while for me to say, oh, my mom contributed, but she's still working on her story. My teachers help, but it's not theirs either. And there's certain stuff that I'm not even proud of when it comes to my story, but it's mine. And if you're here, I assume that y'all are interested. If you're not interested, you don't have to be here. That's been one of my ways to keep going and to stay positive within my creative process. The other way of me saying that, like biggest resource or biggest challenge, right? One is the connectedness. That's a modern thing, but one that's old as Methuselah. You can't be what you can't see. And that's why I was talking about that 8-year-old in Arkansas, right? Because if nobody shows me art with something that's compelling enough for me to stop and say, wow, nah, that's crazy. Somebody did this? Who did it? Damn, he looked like he could be my uncle. Wow, that changes the whole story. But then we see, there was another question in there that we kind of already answered about artwork being abstract versus representational and it being black art. It's hard to answer unless, again, I know the full story. When I see enough people that, like an abstract artist that does work that speaks to me, an expressionist, a realist, all these different people, I'm like, oh wow, I don't like any of this. But there's a lot of different ways to do it and be successful.
He has the gauge.
Say again?
He has the gauge.
Wait.
The Astor Gates.
The Astor.
Oh, is that an artist? We're gonna have to look. Say it again at the end so we can look.
The
at
Astor Gates.
I think.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Can I mention something? Can I say something with that?
Yeah.
I definitely think it's this is just like a random thought about how like just finding like one of the biggest challenges I believe as an artist is possibly even finding a voice to begin with. You know what I mean? Like or a style, or that's like the hardest, like one of the hardest things anyway. You know what I mean? That might take like half your life just to find out like what you really, what you're really trying to convey, or because a lot of times you might just be doing it like you said because you've seen the guy do it and he's been successful at it, and you're like, okay, maybe I need to talk about my traumas or something, but it's not necessarily coming through you genuinely. It's coming through you seeing it from somebody else. So like that's another interesting like thing, just to like figure out like we're like judgmental on like art that we see, but like that person is going through their own journey, and at that time they might be reflecting what they see, and it might not come across as genuine and things like that. And then sometimes that person might get discouraged because they're rejected and they're what I mean, trying to find that style. So I don't know. I think it is just like an interesting like thing to think about too.
Give us 1 second. We got 2 more questions, okay? I did see somebody walk in with The Artist's Way. Are y'all familiar with that book? Yeah. The journey of an artist is an amazing, tumultuous situation. It is a blessing and a curse to be born as an artist. I will tell y'all that now. Let me say, it's not a curse. It's a burden. It's a responsibility. So sometimes you get to carry it, but sometimes you have to. We got 2 more questions. We're gonna open it up to the audience, okay? We talked a little bit about the movements, and I know just with 2020, Black Lives Matter and all that stuff going on, that changed how people, it didn't change why we make art in general, but I think for the last 3-4 years, a lot of people have started to come to the same spot. So amidst the recent calls for racial justice and equity, how can we make sure Black artists receive the recognition and the compensation that they deserve within the art market, the art industry? I'll start with you, my institution first.
So institutionally, right, when I was reading that question, I think all of us in this room, we have something called buying power, right? And you are never too broke, never too young, never too old to start collecting. When it's a personal level, right, with the artist, on the artist's personal level, my goal is to, you help Black artists by buying their art. And it's not just dead artists, right? Like, we're talking about living artists. I'm talking about these three right here, whose all of their work are beautiful, right? And so I think it's about patronizing them and figuring out, how do I become a collector? And even as somebody who collects and is starting, my collection is not large by any means, but to start asking, all right, I want to invest in your work. How do I start to do that, right? Have those personal conversations with artists. They're going to try to figure something out with you, right? So I think that's the first thing, is like, our buying power is huge if we can start to support Black artists there.
I didn't tell y'all this, but as a former financier, the Black, like what America defines as African American and Black, that buying power is not just powerful, it is the most powerful block in the United States. To give y'all some comparisons, Black people are like, if you go into a room and there's 5 people, according to the US Census, we're 1 out of 5 people in the US, versus maybe 5 people, it's maybe like 1.7, maybe 2 Hispanic people, Spanish presenting, Spanish speaking, and then we still got about 56% white, Caucasian, and European. 1 out of 5, but the most impactful buying group for all industries, for every single one.
And I think to come on top of that is, like, when you start investing in artists, especially living artists, that's going to increase their power, right, and their work. And so you're really investing in the long run. And when I say investing, I mean investing, right? So don't just buy because don't just buy for money, right? That's the first thing. Don't just buy into an artist because you think they're gonna get famous. That's not it. That's not how you collect, right? Actually ask the art, what is their story? What are their experiences? What are y'all sharing together? What are their practices? What are you drawn to and attracted to? But then also understand that when you start collecting, you are setting up another line of generational wealth. Just like I have my property is another form of a bank account, your art collection can start to be another way to pass on generational wealth. And so that is something that I think we need to start talking about more as Black people and people who are trying to, because yes, we have a lot of buying power, but we also do not amass a lot of wealth in this country, right? When it comes to percentage wise, how do we start to get away from being the buying power to actually, we are the power, because money here is power, capital is power. I always tell my friends, like, my goal is to be a philanthropist. I don't care that woman, Rhonda Stryker, who just gave Spelman College, I went to Spelman, she just gave Spelman College $100 million, but guess what? She worth $7.8 billion. Okay? I'm like, hold on. This is a new lane, right? How do I begin to put myself into position to become
What
the
number is
philanthropist?
Number one.
People do what?
They invest in Spelman, but guess what? You get your return on investment at Spelman, and they show you that. We sat in the business meeting with Spelman. I said, these were the guy, right? However, so it's the business. It's like we need to start taking our business seriously as well. I also went to Harvard. Harvard ain't even got their stuff as good as Spelman got it now. Let me tell you. So I think that
Talk about perspective. You
You
might be the
know?
only one with that one.
You know,
I got a lot to say about
I was gonna say real quick, you know, one thing that I think people, a lot of people miss out or skip a step as, and that is, value. Like, a lot of people want the money, like, they wanna force a painting down your throat and don't understand the concept of value, you know what I mean? And, once you understand the concept of value, you understand like, because people, in this day and age, everybody's trying to sell people stuff, you know what I mean? And it kinda gets, kinda sad sometimes, you know what I mean? And it's like, for one, in my opinion, like, I don't agree when people wanna make you feel bad to buy their art, you know what I mean? Like, I think you just need to figure out how to increase your value. And, sometimes that requires patience, because like you said, like, you see a lot of people that wanna, they see somebody making a painting every 3 paintings a month, and you're only doing 1, so they're not running their own race, they're trying to run their race, and then they're missing the most important part is like the value. And if somebody believes that, you know, this is like a genuine painting, and this person has a story, all these like components, they might be compelled to wanna buy your art, you know what I mean? But if you're just like, you see somebody post Nipsey, okay, I'm gonna post Nipsey, I'm gonna paint this, oh, my paintings is 3 for $100, this and that, but you don't have nothing to connect with that person really, you'll never really do it. So I think it's a lot of artists that are like really great artists that are so concerned about just making money, and it's turning the people that would probably buy it off, because they're like trying to force you to buy it. And then, so like, I think the first thing one of the best things people could do to increase their value is, one, you know, collaborate with other people and share other people's works. Like, instead of just like expecting the top to give the bottom, you know, relative figuratively speaking, all this money, it can start from the bottom, just creating an event where people come out and, you know, have their art displayed, you know what I mean? And have something going on, and then, you know, a painting in, sitting on the street corner might be worth $100, but a painting sitting in Beverly Hills, that same painting is worth $100,000. You know what I mean? It's the same exact painting, it's just how you represent it, how you present it, all these things, you know what I mean? And so, and I don't think a lot of people actually think of the surroundings of their art, they just put it out there. So these kind of like things is like things you should think about to increase your value. And then once everybody increases their value, how they treat, how the energy they put into stuff, how they communicate with people, how they respond to something, like all these things will increase value, and then that'll make somebody that might be a corporation say like, oh, I like what they're doing, let me invest in that, I wanna see more of that, and you know what I mean, and that kind of trickles down, so.
But we got, the last 2 are quick. Wanna make sure I underline what I think I heard. 1, do not be afraid to play the game, but do not be confused thinking you're playing the whole game just cause you paint, or just cause you create. We talked about music and a lot of different art forms, but a lot of times, especially with music, we see, I got a good voice, I got a good performance, and somebody else got a master's. And that's it. That's my whole career.